Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and today we will be talking about the new Spider-Man No Way Home leak that has been came out 2 hours ago. So as you can see guys, I'm at the page here of the Spider-Man news, and I'm just going to read it to you guys. So it says, huge Spider-Man No Way Home leak has the most detailed spoilers yet. So I'm thinking that there's a new leak came out 2 hours ago, because this news came out, says 2 hours ago, so it came out 2 hours ago. So I'm just going to start reading, guys, to you the whole news here. So it's June 9th, which means the first episode of Loki is finally available to stream on Disney Plus. And you should watch it the first chance you get. The highly anticipated TV show picks up right where we expected it would, and it's all glorious purpose from then on. But it so happens that a massive Spider-Man No Way Home leak might have just hit the web, offering Marvel fans who love spoilers the most detailed Spider-Man plot leak we've seen so far. Mind you, if you hate MCU spoilers, you should run for the hills right now and avoid the following leak completely. That's even if you already know the biggest No Way Home mystery and are aware of what sort of film Marvel and Sony have created. Before we get before we get to the brand new leak, I should remind you that No Way Home is probably going to be a massive multiverse story, bringing together not just several villains we last saw in Sony's previous Spider-Man projects, but also the other two Spider-Man that Sony's movie have featured. So yeah, like I totally agree with this, guys. Like they did put a loads of work on this movie since last year, November, I think it was. But yeah, I think that I keep telling other people that this Spider-Man 3 movie is going to be the biggest Spider-Man movie yet, from the previous movies. Because this movie has multiverse included, so, with different realities and different, um, different several things are going to be happening, like different villains, and we could potentially see Amazing Spider-Man and or Sam Raimi Spider-Man in this movie. So, guys, it says, I'll just continue on. Wait. Conversely, Loki has already started explaining the rule of the multiverse and scare. How do you say it? And the sacred timeline. So the TV show will be must watch before we get to the Explore Spider-Man 3 and Strange 2. That's they mean Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. We've already seen a few Spider-Man 3 plot leaks before, with one of them surfacing just a few days ago. It can be verified at this time, but is very much in line with a leak that came from an insider a few weeks ago. It's worth noting that this leaker has proven track record. He or she is the same one who revealed the identity of the secret, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier cameo before that episode aired on Disney Plus. The new plot leak comes from the same shady source of MCU leaks that we mentioned before 4chan, where anything can happen. As it the case with previous leaks, there's no way to confirm any of it. But this person claims to have direct knowledge and access to the No Way Home plot. The person said they had seen a rough cut that was about 3 hours and 20 minutes long, and that they had read the original script. So it says here, guys, hello everyone. I leaked information on Sony's plans here earlier and was asked to break down the plot. I originally worked with Marvel Studios in more minor capacity, but moved to work at Sony years ago. I have seen a rough cut of No Way Home that was roughly 3 hours and 20 minutes long. There was unfinished CGI footage slated for additional photography. However, I have read the script, and even though much changed from that to filming, I can answer questions using that as a baseline for things that were not present in this cut. So I believe this is an insider like who works for Sony and read the script before they start filming the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. Let's continue reading. The person only listed the film's first two acts, explaining how Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man versions appear in the movie. The leak is similar to the previous ones. It describes how the MCU's Peter Parker Tom Holland deals with the aftermath of Far From Home and how Doctor Strange Benedict Cumberbatch is already fighting issues with the multiverse that involve villains from the other realities. Guys, like I said before, there will be original um, enemies coming back. For example, the Sinister Six, the Rhino, Green Goblin, um, Lizard, Doctor Octopus, and Electro, and I forgot the other one. I think it was Scorpion. Can't remember, guys. I'll let you know. I'll let you guys know when I remember it. So, guys, let's continue reading. Those villains happen to be villains we've already saw in Sony's standalone Spider-Man adventures, and the MCU's Peter Parker supposedly helps them escape Strange prison by accident. In what follows, I've listed the entire unedited leak as it was presented on 4chan. At best, it's fan fiction that reads great. Unfortunately, it doesn't include the final act, and the leaker's post was closed before he or she had a chance to update it. So, guys, we're about to read the act, the new plot leak here, I believe. So, let's get right into it. So, guys, it says film opens with a immediate aftermath of the events of Far From Home. Peter, as Spidey, is on the run and ends up surrounded by SWAT and police helicopters atop of the Statue of Liberty. Peter escapes using the helicopters to swim back to the city and hides out in the back of a fest truck. Removing his mask in exhaustion, as he rests on the pile of clothes he's sitting on. Marvel Studios' intro plays cut to the Google.net bulletin with JJ recapping Far From Home, some new Beck footage here as a leak. Mentions the new cap shield on Statue of Liberty as a gift from Wakanda and a show of support for Sam Wilson as Cap. Which is followed by a scene of Peter in court. He is being defended by Matt Murdock, played by Charlie Cox, who is trying to convince the jury that Peter Parker is not Spider-Man. They don't appear to be trying to prove Spider-Man innocent, just Peter. Like I said, guys, Matt Murdock, aka Charlie Cox, won't be dressing up as Daredevil. He'll be there for Peter Parker, Tom Holland's Peter Parker, to defend him and prove everyone that he's not Spider-Man. The court is adjourned for the day, and Peter speaks with Matt, May, and Happy. As they exit, we see various Mysterio supporters protesting in front of the courthouse, along with people who believe Peter is being framed. Peter meets Ned and MJ at the bakery they work at. They discuss the identity reveal and show Peter a Midtown High news video that was made discussing the topic. Flash is shown denying that Penis Parker could ever be as cool as Spider-Man, before starting to cry and telling them to stop filming him. Peter has a nightmare about Beck goading him about winning and how this will destroy everything Peter has. Jake Gyllenhaal returns for the scene. Peter shoots awake and goes for a nighttime swing to Ned's house. Ned's mother lets him in, and Peter speaks with Ned about his concerns regarding how this is affecting their friendship and his relationship with MJ, but Ned promises Peter that they both have his back. The next day, Peter arrives to the courthouse with Matt, Happy, and May, meeting Ned and MJ at the door. They are suddenly overwhelmed by a group of Mysterio supporters. Peter tries to get everybody out of there without using his powers, but struggles until he is transported to the Sanctum with Ned, MJ, Happy, and May. Strange appears in his astral form and tells Peter that there is a multiversal threat he's dealing with individuals being taken from their home worlds. He states that he brought Peter and his friends to the Sanctum, for safety from great threats from these worlds. When Strange leaves Peter, Ned, and MJ explore their Sanctum and come across a door which leads to the multiversal holding in which Strange is keeping multiverse stowaways. The CGI is unfinished here, but the script details multiple beings from across the Marvel multiverse are among those shown, including Molina as Octavius and Fox as Electro. Ned engages with them and they recount their deaths from their respective movies and claim to want fresh starts in the MCU. This resonates with Peter, who rashly decides to let them go. He is then attacked by Oct, and when Doctor Strange appears to protect Peter, Elektra attacks Strange, who holds back a continuous blast of lightning while Otto escapes. Elektra redirects the lightning to Seaton and follows Otto while Strange protects Ned and MJ from debris. Peter leaves the Sanctum suited up and attempts to chase them when Paul Giamatti can't say his name, guys. The Rhino attacks, rampaging down the street. He attempts to take him down in a sequence that can only be described as a destructive bull ride and is almost at Rhino's mercy until a manhole cover crashes into him, knocking him over. Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man enters the fight and banters with Rhino and Peter before the two decide to use the Empire Strikes Back method together to take him down. So guys, that's the end of Act 1. So far, it does, well, to me, it sounds real. Some bits are real, some bits could be, lies or, fan-made, Let's continue on, guys. The MCU Peter and Andrew's Peter regroup and introduce themselves to each other. They have an instant connection and start to geek out about each other's web shooters and express confusion about why Andrew is here until Strange transports them back to the Sanctum and sends Rhino to the multiversal prison. He explains the multiverse to the two Peters and says he brought Andrew's Peter into the help MCU. Peter tracked down the escaped villains as Strange is too busy with a greater threat to hunt them back down. This scene ends with May, Ned, and MJ walking into two Peters and expressing confusion. Tom's Peter asks where they should start looking. Dr. Octavius and Electro are shown entering an abandoned Oscorp facility and are met by William Defoe's Norman Osborn, aka the original Green Goblin from the original movie of Spider-Man. Osborn claims to be one of many who hold a grudge against Spider-Man for killing him. He recounts his death of Spider-Man 2002 movie and offers the villains not only a way to get revenge on their spiders, but a chance to stay in the MCU forever. Here it is revealed that Dr. Octavius is actually the tentacles taking control of Oct's conscience while he was at the brink of death. Electro and Oct agree to Norman's plan and join forces with him. The two Peters talk about constants on their universes and in an attempt to figure out which Electro went, and have a conversation which mentions Andrew's Gwen Stacy and Uncle Ben, while Peter mentions Tony and his Ben before. Quickly moving off the topic. When Andrew claims that there's no Tony Stark on his world, and that Oscar is the industrial giant of his world, MJ brings up the existence of Oscar in the MCU and shows that Peters an article stating Oscar Industries has purchased Avengers Tower and is the first non-Stark company to have access to arc reactor power. When Peter explains to Andrew what an arc reactor is, they both assume Elektra is going after the reactor and head to the tower. They are proven right when they encounter Elektra attempting to break into the tower. A brief fight commences between the Peters and Elektra before they are interrupted by the presence of Ray's Ifan's lizard. Can't pronounce that name, guys, sorry. MCU Peter chases after Electro, who has entered the tower's power supply to find out the reactor, while Andrew has a rematch of Lizard. MCU Peter chases Electro to the river where the arc reactor sits. Peter watches as he absorbs the arc reactor energy and is blasted by a mega-charged Electro. Dr. Octavius is seen removing the arc with his tentacle arms before both he and Electro escape. Andrew is struggling to fight Lizard, who he remarks is a lot stronger than last time. When Peter rejoins the fight, ultimately Lizard escapes the Peter's quip about not being used to fight so many supervillains at once. Ock brings the reactor back to the Oscar facility, and Electro remarks on the power it generates. Osborn tells Electro to overpower it, which creates a brief rift in reality. Lizard returns and informs Osborn that the Peters are defeated but not dead. Upon hearing this, Osborn tells Ock that it's time to get to work, and they begin finishing a device Norman created to channel the arc energy into creating rifts that let them travel the multiverse at will. Peter and Andrew sit at the rooftop and talk about their failings as Spidey. Peter brings up the ferry incident, Tony's death, and Mysterio's victory in relation to his freeing of the villains and how he keeps making mistakes that cost him. Andrew speaks about Captain Stacy, Connors, Harry, and Gwen, and how being Spider-Man comes with a cost, but they have to keep doing the right thing with their abilities regardless. The conversation takes a lighter turn as the heroes discuss the ways they've used their powers for everyday stuff. Andrew's Peter makes a comment about web swimming to beat the traffic to work. The two are interrupted by an earthquake as Osborn is testing the multiverse rift device. He sends Thomas Hayden, Chuck Sandman, through the rift, claiming that he's going home. Sandman steps through, but before the others can enter the rift, the two Spideys show up to stop him. They engage in a fight with Ock and Lizard, while Electro struggles to contain the arc energy. The rifts become chaotic and drag in the two Spideys along with Lizard. The Spideys are flung into the street, while Lizard isn't seen landing as the rift closes. Osborn, Ock, and Electro watch the rift close on their end, the facility in ruins. Osborn comments they need a larger conductor as his eye is drawn to a poster of the new Statue of Liberty. The two Peters come to and check in on each other before they're attacked by Sandman, who is larger in human form here using sand weapons. They struggle to fight him as he manages to slip through every grasp until he's knocked down by a large blast of water. He melts into the drains on the street, with the Peters watching until they look towards a nearby fire hydrant, which appears to have been bent towards Sandman with brute strength. They approach and find no attached to it by a web. I can't remember exactly, but it was an address in Forest Hills labeled home. The Peter arrives at a house in Queens wearing civilian clothing. They discuss possibilities of who the note could be from, including alternate Earth shield agents from MCU Peter, to which Andrew responds with a shudder. They knock on the door, which opens to Christine Dunst as Mary Jane Watson, who invites them in. She hands them cocoa in the living room, while a Ramiverse J. Jonah Jameson rants on TV about Quest Aerospace merging with Stark International. Sorry guys, read that again. So, Aerospace merging with Stark International. Mary Jane remarks that he will be down in a second. The Peter share a look before a man enters the room and sits on a chair in front of them. Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. He remarks, "So who you?" He remarks, "So he remarks that. So who are you guys?" Well then, guys, I know that is a lot of article to read, but I just wanted to do a video here to share you guys this new article, the new leak that came out. Well, it's been posted. It's not confirmed. Well, we've got we've got a lot of talk to. We've got loads of things to talk about here. Well, like I said, it's going to be a massive movie with with loads of things happening inside the movie of multiverse and such and such. Like the Electro, Doctor Octopus, all of them guys coming back, and Spider-Man, fighting against. But whenever whenever I did a previous video that I read to you the plot leak of the movie, where it said that Peter Parker's best friend Ned is going to die with Green Goblin's pumpkin bombs. But Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is going to die. But we don't know yet, guys. That's the new plot leak. Well, new leak that just came out in public. I don't think it's confirmed yet because I doubt it is. But yeah, guys, like I said, it's going to be a massive, massive movie, and I'm looking forward to it. For this year, for the Spider-Man No Way Home movie. Like like I said before, my previous video, that the Spider-Man No Way Home trailer is expected to arrive Thursday, which is tomorrow, the 10th of June. So yeah, hopefully Spider-Man No Way Home trailer drops tomorrow, and we get to see the new trailer. Hopefully it does. Fingers crossed we get good, positive news for tomorrow. This is all for me, guys. Like and subscribe to my channel so you can get more updates on movies, gaming, and etc. with other things in the future. Okay, this is all for me, guys. Like I always say, keep well, keep safe, and I'll see you in my next video.